Hi, welcome to the next edition of Watching the Pioneer Meta. Today, we're going to be talking about, of course, 4 decks that have made a decent result that I think are interesting to talk about. Some of them are kind of like iconic decks from the past. Some of them are, relatively newer, featuring brand new cards. And so that's what we're talking about today. If you want to watch the standard Watching Your Meta, check out my other channel. The link is in the description. If you like this kind of content, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification for future videos. We're on our way to 2,000 subs. Let's get there together. Let's get into this meta shifts and into the deck list. So first, right out of the gate, so let's talk about this meta shift. So a little bit like a 1.75% swing towards demons, and then a massive 10% jump, basically. And it's more like 7% since last week. It was like mid, like 18%. Now it's like 24% for red deck wins. Now, which seems a little odd about this. So as you could tell, the decks you would assume are going to take a little bit of an increase is Mardu Fang, because it is aggressively fast, and it also is a mid-range pile. And Jund Sacrifice has a lot of target removal to deal with the red deck wins. So both of these two decks are on the increase to combat the red deck wins. We are in the in-between phase where we're dealing with aggro against the mid-range piles. Because a few weeks, like 4 weeks ago, as you see, the decks that were a part of the meta are starting to go down during that period, because we were on the ramp against mid-range week churn through the metas. Yeah, so this definitely looks a little worrying if you maybe look at it first glance. Gruul Prowess is basically going out. I think Gruul Prowess is better stacked up against the big range decks and mid-range. And red deck wins is probably a little more favored naturally against across the field. So like this was a great way of filtering out all the incarnations and the green devotion, and for some reason I guess Niv is getting a little bit of an uptick. Doesn't really make that much sense, but it is a thing. And yeah, so we're in this very midway through, I think, of this meta shift, right? So before we go to the next turn, which would become more of a mid-range versus go big decks, surprisingly enough, Dimir Bounce, I guess, is not really stacking up against the red deck wins, so it's on the downtick. I would think Control would adjust by now, because it should be pretty reasonable into red deck wins. It can also be adjusted to demon, so it really should be seeing more play, competitive play. I don't know why it's not. It does, yeah. So I think that would be the deck that I think is underappreciated right now. Like I said, I imagine there has to be a way, either with lay down the arms or March of Otherworldly Light or something, to make it where it could usually compete with red deck wins. So you could argue maybe the tools aren't there, but I'm pretty sure they have to be. I mean, we have had so many good one-drop removal spells across white and black that it should be able to fight its way and take this deck down a peg. Phoenix could definitely adjust with the shift into red deck wins and probably do some good performance there as well. So I'm not really sure. Like right now, I don't even know if I guess 5.68 is tier 1. I would not be surprised if Jund Sacrifice swaps with Phoenix coming next week. Until red deck wins trend starts going down. That's usually when we'll start seeing the other things occur. Because like I said, it's going to be the result of eventually there's going to be too many mid-range piles that red deck wins just can't top 8 challenges as much and as easy. And when that point happens, it'll flop back into big decks coming in to take down the tons and tons of demon decks or any other kind of deck similar to that, like mid-range Sacrifice and Fang. There's not a lot of shifts right now because, like I said, we're still going through the second phase or the beginning phase of the churn. A lot of people are wondering why there was no bannings. It's not really needed because, I mean, even if you did a banning, like you would have to hit something for demons and from red deck wins. The only thing you get hit from red deck wins, honestly, is the mouse. So if you honestly could say it's worth putting that one drop mouse on the ban list, I don't really know if it is. It would make the format, I think, a little bit better. And then you would have to do something like Fable if you wanted to hit both of these decks to make them fall down. Fable also hits this deck and this deck. But yeah, so overall, I think the meta is shifting. Just it'll wait a couple weeks. Next week, you'll probably see an adjustment as well, and we'll start seeing a churn starting to occur. Because usually it's not like a long period where these metas actually stationary like this, where the turn starts happening. But we have 4 decks to talk about. Let's get into those. So first is Merfolk. It has the new Merfolk. Pretty sweet card for this deck in general. We have a School. We have our Drowners, Hex Catchers, Kamana. And then we have our, our Coco's Pilgrimage, Biomancer, Tidebinder, and a couple Sentinels that work really good with Coco. Unable to Scream, pretty good removal spell. Gust for the mono red. Stroke for, you could argue demons, but you probably want it for other bigger matchups, is more likely. Sanctuaries for demons. We have Hearse as a way to fight for the graveyards. Against red, we have Tidebinder Mage. Most likely you'd probably be trimming the other Tidebinder Mage for these. And the Gust. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think about these lists. Which one of these is your favorite? Let's dive into the next. So next is from Neeson. He, of course, piloted a traditional stocked Boros Heroic deck with 2 Vanguards, because I guess it makes sense. I mean, you could argue that it's very tricky for, I guess, against demons. You kind of want to have a little bit of indestructible card. We have a couple Challengers, really nice card to target if you have extra, and it has prowess, so it works really well in the deck. Virtuosa, pretty solid card. We have Legionnaire, which is another amazing card in this shell. 3 Shelter by Ghost, really good against red. We have Defiant Strikes, 3 copies, it looks like. Yeah, they cut 1. And they have 4 Angers, because red aggro is really important. You want to be able to have the Trample to get over the top of it. We also have Flowstone. This is 100% a card you're basically playing in the main because of red deck wins. You want to wait to basically answer any kind of creature without depending on a 1-drop from us, since we only play 8 1-drops. So having a removal spell that doesn't require a turn 1 creature is pretty welcomed in this shell. Sideboard, we do have Escape and Showdown for the Demon matchup against aggro. We have Portable Hole plus Shelter by Ghost. Portable Hole makes a lot of sense because, again, that's more removal that doesn't require a turn 1 drop. In that matchup, you're a little bit more of the control deck, so you probably end up just cutting the Swifties or maybe some other object like that. Rescue maybe not as required in that matchup either. We have Runestone as a nice way to stop Coco and Graveyard shenanigans. Another Vanguard in case we face a deck with heavy amounts of removal. Hazoret as a way to fight control in mid-range. And then we also have Destroy Evil as a way to fight enchantments. So that's pretty nice as well and can kill some bigger threats. That is Boros Heroic. Pretty good looking right now. It's adjusted itself against, basically to prey more on mono red. So honestly, I might want to try this out. I got to look again to see if there's anything in Tarkir that makes me want to play Heroic this season. Let's get into the next one. So next is this Soul deck, but it's not really full on a Soul because we only have 3 of them. We still have the Citadels to put it on. We have Shelter by Ghost for aggro. We have a Rebuke as a way to protect our stuff against removal. We're also in an Affinity deck plus Bunnycorn. Then we have tons of 1-drops that make it extra. A little Artifact token that helps with Bunnycorn and with the Guardian. We have a Coat for grinding matchups, aggro. We have a Hole. And we have Synthesizer. Nice little card. Pretty good. A way to pump a bunch of tokens. Cryptic Coat does really good there because you keep bouncing it and casting it, getting more value. Against demons, we have this to counter the, the 3-drop Annex. We have Portable Hole for aggro. We have Damping Sphere for Lotus Field, Phoenix, Mono Green potentially. 4 Rest in Peace for Phoenix. 2 Disputes for control. And other decks like that are blue-based. Cryptic Coat for more stuff against mid-range. Cut the Portable Holes. We have Gust for red. And Rebuke, more counter magic as well for mid-range and control. That is Blue, White, and Soul for Pioneer. We got one more deck to talk about with featuring another new card. So last on my list is Orzhov Midrange. It has 4 Graveyard Trespassers, 4 Bargains. That's kind of based, actually. Because that guarantees X on the top 13, which pretty much guarantee turns on your Ketramos. So Ketramos into a Bargain seems pretty sweet. We have 3 Vanishing Verses. Nice little removal. We have an Annex. Pretty good card. We could turn up a Shieldred, Trespasser, or a Ketramos with this. So that's really good. We have Scrambling Claws as a way to exile some cards from a graveyard. Fatal Push for removal. And we also have Gust. Nice little way to get a little bit of graveyard hate additional to it. So this is actually a pretty sweet list. I don't know if I have the Verges, though. So I don't know if I fully can play this list or not. Sideboard, we have 3 Thoughtseizes, great against mid-range, a control. Hole and Lockdown and Blow, these are great cards against aggro, plus Extinction Events, and the Beza. We have 3 Invoke Despair, so it's a way to fight through mid-range control. In those matchups, you don't really care about Scrambling Claws, you don't really care about Fatal Push most of the time. So Cabal, nice way to face hate on combo decks. So overall, this deck I think is the most spicy of the bunch. So if you're interested in picking up and wanting to play a Ketramos deck, definitely give this a try. I think it's pretty good and sweet. The Emperor, I just realized there's an Emperor right here. I didn't even realize it. That's pretty bad. But overall, I think this deck is pretty decent, except we have a decent amount of exile-based stuff. And overall, I can't really complain about the deck. Let me know what you think about the current Pioneer format. Is it healthy? Honestly, from playing the content and doing a lot of Pioneer, I think it's the healthiest format, which is why I love the format even more. Especially coming from, maybe it's because I've been a part of Pioneer for so long that I know the really bad, parts where it's just almost about as bad as what Modern was before the banning, with Breach. So like maybe you could argue that I'm just optimistic because Pioneer's never been so balanced throughout the course of the history of the actual format. That is maybe a good legit reason. But let me know in the comments section if you guys want me to know. Don't forget to look at the down description for the Ether Clash gaming channel. That gives you the standard video about deck lists. I think I have like 3 or 4 for that as well. And also we're talking about the meta shifts in standard. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Shout out to all my supporters. And if you want to see any other content from me, check out either one of these 2 videos and playlists. And I'll talk to you soon.